I'm chatting with Drew Goodall. Now, Drew, you started out as an actor, and you played in some pretty cool movies.
Yeah, I was in Snatch with Brad Pitt. I was in About a Boy with Hugh Grant. And I was in various other. They're all sort of bit parts, nothing major. But I was principally a stage actor. That was where my passion lied, and that was where I trained from the age of 18, more or less, and even before 18, when I was at school, that was my drive to be an actor.
Now, somehow it all went horribly wrong, and you ended up living on the streets. I mean, that must have been devastating.
Oh, wait, that's an understatement. But I mean, it was a case of slowly with it. It wasn't something that, as I sort of descended into that part of my life, it wasn't something that happened overnight. It was a kind of a death by 1,000 cuts, really. I received some bad reviews in national newspapers over here in the UK, and it really hit my confidence a great deal. And whilst I tried to sort of carry on with it, I felt that my confidence had gone. My confidence had kind of been shattered, to be honest with you. And I carry on. I tried to do it. I tried to move it forward, but I wasn't enjoying it anymore. And I subsequently, I just lost all. I lost all confidence and I had a kind of existential problem when I decided I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't really know what I was anymore. I lost all my kind of. Everyone has their own, whether you're a radio DJ or whatever it is. Yeah. You have the thing that you draw your person against, and that was what I had. So I found that I didn't want to act anymore, and I didn't know what else I wanted to do. So sort of left me in no man's land, really.
And you basically ended up on the streets and, sort of getting into all sorts of trouble with drunks and, well, begging, basically, I guess.
That's right. Yeah, I ended up sleeping in areas of London, in parklands. I took the chance to sleep wherever I could, really, because sleeping in parks is not always ideal if the weather is bad. I'd sleep in accident and emergency wards. I'd sleep in wherever it, raised its opportunity, I'd sleep. And I had a very, to cut a long story, I had a very bad experience on the street where a fellow homeless person tried to commit suicide and throw himself in front of a train.
Oh, wow.
And that really made me realise that I valued my life and that I wanted to make something of my life. And I didn't want to do that. And so that was a real turning point for me. And at the same time, I don't know how people believe in destiny or whatever, but a passerby sort of said to me, people do this. They clean shoes. This is something possibly you could do.
Yeah.
And I thought, do you know what? Maybe I could. Well, why not? Give it a go. I mean, nothing to lose. You can't go any lower, can you? So that was what I did, and I started to. I bought some little polishers and some brushes, and I started cleaning shoes and being chased around on the streets of London because you're not legally allowed to do that on the streets of London. You have to have a license.
Yeah.
And yeah, so and it all kind of built from there. Really, everything's gone from there.
Now, you one of your regular clients suggested that you could work in their office or in the entrance of their office.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it was. That's correct. I thought, I wasn't much enjoying the experience of being on the street, shoe-shining on the street and being chased around. And one of the regular people said, why don't you come into my office and clean shoes? In my office, there's a little, you could just come in there. So that was what I did. And I I started cleaning shoes in there, and it moved forward. And then other people said, "Well, you come into my office, and you come into my office," and then I built up so many offices that I didn't know what to do with them. And I had a friend who had mental difficulties from my bad days, you know.
Mm-hmm.
By this point, I was off the street, I should say. And I said, you know, why don't you could go round there? Why don't you go round there? And I explained to the clients that this guy had problems. I thought it might be a problem for them, but it wasn't. And I sent him round, and he did so well. And the clients actually loved it. So I thought, well, okay, why not just carry this on? You know, why not just do this as a thing? You know, and I can help people. I can help people out. Yeah. So that was what I did, and you know, fast forward a few years later now, and here I am with all the. You know, I've taken over the years now, I've taken probably 60 people from various different positions of hardship or vulnerability, and given them a job, and in most cases it's their first ever job. And every single person I've taken is either still working for me, or they've moved on and they're working somewhere else now. So it's quite funny how life goes, isn't it?
This is formed Sunshine Shoeshine, which is a brilliant name.
Thank you. Try saying that after a few drinks.
Yeah. But I mean, it's developed into such a thing now where you're actually sponsoring sort of people. You're donating money back into charity to help homeless people. Right. And you've almost turned shoe shining into an art form, watching you work. You look as though you're extremely proud of every pair of shoes you touch.
Yeah, I mean, it's something. I mean, we're given privileged access into very large institutions and city institutions and whatnot, and it's that access that you don't take that lightly, you know. So within that, you have to really take that seriously, and you know, give back the chance someone has given you. You know, we owe it to them to really. You know, do it if you want. I mean, do a good job. You know, we owe it to them to do a good job. So we do take great care, and each person that we take is given a huge amount of time and effort into getting themselves ready to go out and do it and learn how to shine a shoe. That might sound quite. I mean, most people can relate to sitting on the floor in their kitchen and cleaning a shoe, and there is a certain amount, there's quite a lot of skill that goes into it, but also there is the other side of the coin, which are sunshiners. We don't call them shoe shiners, we call them sunshiners.
Excellent.
They go round and they have to navigate around the city, and I'd say 90% of the people we take in have never even been into London before, and they live, you know, maybe on the outskirts of London or in estates and council estates in the poorer areas in London, not a million miles away, but they've just never had the confidence or the ability to be able to get themselves into London. So, and most of them, I'd say, are in and around the 30 years old mark, rising up to sort of 50, 60, you know, men and women. But they haven't even gotten themselves into London before, never mind navigated around to 1,000 different skyscrapers and financial institutions. So it's a steep learning curve for them. And, you know, I never fail to marvel myself at, you know, it takes a lot for someone to be able to, you know, have the courage to make their lives differently. You know, you become indoctrinated into the into benefits life.
Yeah, I mean, so many. I was going to say, so many people when they're on the streets, so many people when you see them, their heads are down, their shoulders have dropped, and they have no confidence. Do you think by becoming one of your sunshiners, it not only gives them a purpose, but it also boosts their confidence amazingly? It must.
Oh, yeah, hugely. I mean, our Facebook page I have occasional sort of interviews with them and what they've changed. And we took someone, our latest person. I mean, I was on the phone to him maybe half an hour ago, and he spent about 5 minutes sort of telling me how it had changed his life. It is worth pointing out that a lot of the Sunshiners, whilst we have some people who have experienced homelessness, we have also a great deal of people who have learning difficulties or hearing problems, sight problems. I don't have a book. I don't run it from a book. I just run it from my heart. And if someone someone is in that position of vulnerability or hardship, or I think they haven't been given a shot, and they show me that they really want it, which is the most important thing. Do you really want it? If you show me you really want it, and we're looking for someone, then, and I think they have the ability, then that, welcome to Sunshine.
Is it true that you actually one of the guys who worked for you was almost blind, and he earned money with you and you helped him to see again?
That's right. He was actually the first person that I took all those years ago, and today he still works for us today.
Oh,
and
wow.
He was almost blind at birth, given up for adoption by his parents because of that, and he was also had a schizophrenic breakdown in that time, and a story that you can only imagine. And really, all that was required to sort his sight out was an operation. It was perfectly solvable. It's just he'd fallen through the cracks and really never had the opportunity to, no one really cared enough, to put it, bluntly.
Yeah.
And he didn't have the ability to do it himself. And a lot of people can view that if they're interested in his story. If you go on our Facebook page, there is a short BBC feature where he's being interviewed and talks about his experiences and his experience with Sunshine and what it did for him and how it helped him.
It's fantastic. I mean, we mentioned just a little bit earlier about the amount of money that you give money back into helping people, but we didn't mention the fact that it's been £20,000 that you've given back.
That's right.
That's incredible.
That's right. Well, what we do with that is when we take a corporate client, we also offer them the chance to be able to donate to charity as well. Without going into too much detail, our partners pay for us to visit their offices, and we then say to them, if they would like to make donations every time someone has a shoe shine, individuals would like to make a donation, they can, and then they make those they may or may not choose that option, but if they do, they will put money in, and then they often will either distribute that themselves or give it to us and ask us to distribute it for them on their behalf.
Fantastic. I mean, it sounds as though you're going from strength to strength. Do you see this becoming a sort of, I know at the moment it's sort of basically London, but could you make it national? Yes, you could. After keeping one eye on the bottom line of what we actually do is the key to this. Whilst there's there's obviously plenty of desire for people to better themselves outside of London. That's not that in itself is not in any way a problem. The real question of whether it can work outside of London is the will for businesses to have a shoe, to put it bluntly, the will for businesses to have a Sunshiner come around to their, do their staff dress in formal shoes. Is a shoe shine service something that they'd be interested in having? If they are, and if there's enough of those
if there's enough of those companies around, then yes, it is. It's not something that I've tested into because, frankly, the logistics of doing it is quite. And London is the potential is so big in London that my efforts have been focused on London, really.
Yeah. Okay, I've got two more little questions, and then I'm going to let you carry on with your travels because I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, number one. When you put the polish on, is it a cloth or brushes?
Brush. I did. Well, brush, really, yeah, because, I mean, cloth is great, but you get your fingers all dirty, and, the polish goes under your fingernails.
Oh, it's horrible, that.
A brush, yeah, it's not good, yeah. So I'd stick with the brushes.
Okay, one more question. What's the best polish to use on your black shoes?
Go for Cherry Blossom.
Right.
It's the oldest polish in the world, and without going into too much detail, Kiwi is what everyone knows now, but Kiwi are only now making black and brown. They've recently been bought over, and they're cutting out all the unproductive lines. So they're just making black and brown. Cherry Blossom make the full range, and they're a standalone polish maker. So I think that's to be supported.
Okay. Sadly, I think he's gone into a tunnel and we've lost him. But thank you so much to Drew Goodall from Sunshine Shoeshine. Absolutely amazing project. If you get a chance, have a look. Go onto the internet and check out Sunshine Shoeshine. Read the story. Read about Drew. He's a fascinating character. And check him out on Facebook as well. Thanks once again to Drew Goodall.